Donald Trump's tariff policies will lead to a new Gilded Age. But what does that mean? Well, it's important to remember that these kinds of tariffs have been done before in the 1880s during the first Gilded Age. The Gilded Age is a term given to that time period by Mark Twain, who lived through it, critically, as a way to indicate that things on the surface were golden and sparkling, but underneath were corrupt. It was the time of the robber barons, where we had industrialists who were trying to make as much money for themselves, take as much power for themselves as they could at the expense of American workers. So all of this makes sense if you think about it in terms of trying to consolidate power to the very, very wealthy. What do? Well, you increase tariffs, which increase the need to make things here in the United States that are usually made other places more cheaply. And you get rid of the workers here who normally do low-wage work. So you increase the demand and need for low-wage workers here in the United States while getting rid of the people, namely immigrants, who are usually willing to do it. At the same time, well, how do you deal with the fact that the unemployment rate is pretty low? We don't have all of those workers to do it. So you kind of have to place people in a position where they're pressured to and desperate to do it. So you get rid of worker protections, you keep wages stagnant, or you even lower them. Things get more expensive, as we already see happening, and is likely to happen with tariffs even further. So people become more desperate. They become willing to do jobs that they normally wouldn't do just to survive. You do things like gut their healthcare. You gut social services that help protect them, like Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. All of those things have already been under discussion for being curtailed in one form or another, or access is reduced to them by Republicans. There's even been Republicans who have been talking about like getting children to work. We've been talking about things like increasing the retirement age. So these are all ways of having people who are more and more and more desperate to have work. So the plan is an effective one if what we mean is a time when the very wealthy will be able to consolidate more and more power and wealth to themselves, whilst the middle class, the American workers, won't have access to that. And notice the people who are a big fan of all of this right now. We have Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, right? All of these super wealthy, ultra wealthy people who think that this is a great idea, because what happens in the Gilded Age is they become the only voices of power, not just the wealthy, but we become so desperate for work that we can't even hope to unionize, we can't even hope to strike, we can't even hope to speak up, and almost all political power exists in just a few people with wealth we can't imagine or begin to conceive of achieving.